Welcome to Thinking in Turns. Today I have another ladder replay for you, which is played at a rather high level, and it features a lot of Orc on Elf slaughter and carnage, as well as a pretty impressive hold, in my opinion, from our player Haldiel here. We have Haldiel playing the Rebels, and Megac 1 playing the Northerners. If you're not too much in the scene, Megac 1 won the latest ladder tournament, so he is technically the best player right now, and he's very well known for his orcs, for his northerners. He doesn't play anything else, and he's had a really good success with it. So, for that, let's get going. If you followed my guide, my very short guide to northerners, just to get started, usually you want to rush a village as early as possible. And on this map specifically, it's not that easy to go for a decent rush. You have this village here, which is kind of exposed. That's probably good to go for, but it's only one village that you can get. And getting any further, first of all, requires a lot of movement, and it's also difficult to actually attack them. There are a lot of good hexes around them, where you can position yourself defensively. So unless you can out-rotate your opponent, it's going to be rather difficult to get a decent rush going. So yeah, for the start, nothing too special. People are just picking up villages as they're supposed to. I'm not sure if Megac knows what he's playing against. He should have seen the Elven Archer here. But his recruitment is pretty standard, just a lot of grunts, one assassin, a couple of wolf riders. Usually, when you play Northerners against and the Rebels, Trolls are a pretty decent unit. They have good resistances against most of their units. The only problem is the mage, but the mage does fall to simply grunts melee attacks. Don't think you would recruit trolls too early though, because you really want to get your first rush going and then you can consider swapping into trolls. But yeah, so far from Haldiel, it's pretty decent, pretty standard game. Let me zoom out for a second. So he identifies who he's playing against. He has scouts on the mid lane here, middle lane, to just see what's going on. He sees the main pushes going from the western flank, so he sets up his units accordingly. Gets some recruitment. Gets one unit to sit in a village. That's a rather important part, because there can always be some wolf rider coming from the other flank and looking for free villages to take. Even here, if you have a wolf rider on this side, he might just run past you, grab this village, which will stunt your economy quite a lot, especially when you have to deal with the pressure on the other flank. But this is so far very good defense, from what I can see. So you see this Dusk right now. Megac is starting to move in, even getting some hits in Dusk. Now, it's not as simple as with other matchups, because elves are neutral, so they always do the same amount of damage. But still, simply with the orcs being chaotic, they should have a decent advantage during the nighttime. So yeah, this is something that Megac does a lot, that I think is also quite good. He just moves in with units to block movement without attacking during dusk, because he really wants to maximize his chaotic advantage here. This strong, quick grunt. But yeah, Haldiel moves back, as he should. He's giving up this village for free, because it's very a difficult one to defend. There are not a lot of good hexes around it that you can position units on, and at most you can probably utilize this forest, this hill, but it still doesn't prevent your village from being surrounded and taken. So he just says, yeah, I'm not gonna sacrifice my unit here. He moves back, and this is a very good defense setup. If you look at the way the units are placed, there's not enough space for anyone to move through. The wolf rider is completely blocked out by the zone of control, and so is the grunt here. There's a little bit of an issue here where this archer can get a hit from 3 hexes, where, for example, this fighter here can be hit from a couple of hexes. But considering the defense they have here, especially him being on a village, the archer in the forest with 70%, it is quite manageable. You might lose one unit, especially if you have bad RNG, but you shouldn't lose more than one unit here. And if you only lose one unit and one village during the first night, you should be pretty comfortable against Northerners. So, moving up for a bit of vision, you see he repositioned to get the scout in here with the resistance count. Obviously, you can tank a little bit more, getting the second fighter up front, just to block this one extra space for the wolf rider. And some recruitment. Now, I saw them talk a little bit. Haldiel was considering recruiting a mage here, which I think is quite a good idea. You get a mage and look for a counter push already. Because so far you felt it pretty well. You see, Megac doesn't really want to move forward. As I said, he might look for like 3 hits on the scout, for example, which he has one strong grunt, which does help out, but I think he needs 4 hits to land, 4 out of 6. On a scout with 60% defense, it's quite unlikely to get the skill. And if you get stuck for too long, you probably won't get the chance to escape. Right? Well, he does have a lot of quick grunts, but it's still a difficult thing to deal with. And the rebels do quite well into Northerners because of their range tag. Now you see it is already the second watch of the night, and it is about time for Megac to pull back. He doesn't get a lot of value here. Obviously this one village is nice, but it's not enough to be in a very winning position, especially now that the day is about to come. And Haldiel recognizes it as well. He moves in, and this is the amazing part of playing rebels into Northerners. All your units have range attacks, so it means you can always get 3 hits on the grunts. Now I think, yeah, Haldiel gets a little bit lucky here, because he lands almost all his shots. 92% and plus 92% inflicted hits overall. Which also adds to Megac's problem right here. But even if it is the average amount of hits, it will still be good for Haldiel to just move in. Because Megac needs to disengage now, it is about to be done. Which he does. Now he even needs to sacrifice a grunt here. I'm a little bit confused that he sacrificed the quick grunt. I would probably try to keep him myself. It's easier for him to get out with the 1 bonus movement point. But he's also the lowest one of all. This is just to block some movement from the units, also just to hold the village a little bit. It will take Haldiel at least 2 actions to reclaim the village. 1 attack and 1 capture. Maybe more if he gets lucky. And this is all just to stall the counter push that's coming. Also, I see this quite a lot from Megac. He recruits Spearmen after the first night, especially if it doesn't go too well, because these don't cost any upkeep. You still get a lot of income if you get them. And they are very good for buying time. You just put them on some hex over here, but they have decent defense. They do some retaliation damage, but most of all, they only give 4 XP to your opponent. They don't cost any upkeep, and they still require at least 1 action, most likely 2 actions from your opponent to kill, which is very good for stalling. Now, Haldiel does it very well. He already has the counter push going on this side, and he at the same time starts moving in on all the other flanks just to look for opportunities. And right here, he gets 1 opportunity because there are 2 undefended villages, a 3rd one further in the back, and I think Megac might be able to defend all of them with his goblins. But then there's also the 2nd Elvish fighter coming around. And if they both just start shooting at the grunt or start hitting the goblins, it's difficult to hold during daytime. So let's get it out even by the leader. Usually getting the leader out is double-edged sword, but here it works out. You have a lot of units here already. And you don't get to recruit for 2 more turns, but you don't really need recruitment right now. Your recruits will most likely just not be on time anyway, if you push very aggressively like that. Yeah, in the grand scheme of things, this is going kind of fine for Megac. Also, he didn't really get the value that he wanted. Let's look up this 6-6 one time. He lost 1 grunt. He still had pretty terrible luck, so he might get a pretty good swing. Or at least expect for him to be. If the game is fair, if the RNG gods allow him to. And still, this side is somewhat concerning. He moves his leader out just to disincentivize the rebels moving forward, pushing more villages, which is kind of alright. At the same time, you would probably want your troll to be on the western flank in case all these units decides to push in. This morning, it is just about to be daytime. And let's see how Haldiel handles this. Right here, I think his units would mostly be in range to get some hits in, but he decides to stall for a bit and get into position first. Which I'm not quite sure if I like waiting too much. Also, you're not losing out on anything, and since you're playing against Northerners, you're just stalling for time is pretty good. But once it is nighttime again, you need to be more careful. Now, Megac moves his units up. He gives up control over the villages, over this flank mostly, by trying to go for some counter pressure, which honestly I don't mind. If you take a one-sided beating by the range attacks anyway, you might as well try and like sacrifice the ground for your village or something. Because you don't really want to go into melee battles here. You do 14 damage if you hit both times. And all of these elven fighters do up to 24 here. And 4 damage, this one does up to 20 damage. I guess he's not strong. So these trades will always be losing for you. And as I said, the fighters can just use range attacks to poke on you as well. So this is mostly defensive setup over here. And you see all the goblins just the immediate front line. And let's see how well they hold up. But I'm not quite sure about this giving up this village over here. And like this line overall. These are decent hexes for the Elvish units to be on. And now you're not only sacrificing your right flank in the villages here, also you're trying to get something in return. If you're lucky, you get to hold the villages a bit. You can capture 2 here, which is a decent trade-off, but then they will get pushed back for sure. But at the same time, losing a lot of villages on your own side might make it quite hard on your ego. So this goblin already took 2 actions of 2 units. That's cheap 9 gold unit, 3 actions to get defeated, and it's only 4 experience. So this is so far amazing value. Now, Haldiel keeps on pushing. I think the push in itself is pretty good. It's still afternoon. It will take a while until the nighttime arrives, and he can always just use range attacks. He doesn't really need to engage too much. So yeah, there they go. The leader comes back, recruits some Eldritch fighters to defend the right flank. Maybe having more assassins here would be better, just so you can poison all of them, because if you poison all these units, they can't cure. The Elvish Shaman only heals, and then they will be slower on their attack here. And probably also have issues when they start retreating. Might have been an interesting idea. But he gets an archer instead. I'm not quite sure how good the archer is. He does do bonus damage on the scouts. But do you really want to get an archer just to get the bonus damage on the scouts? Obviously he is cheaper than an assassin. And he does have range relation, which is mostly good against the elves. Right, this is where you're going to struggle because of all the range attacks. But at the same time, if you could get an assassin instead, or maybe a troll to help you hold, it might be better value. Especially the troll could do a lot of work on this mountain or this fungus. But yeah, he perfectly spends his gold on both of these units though, so I can't really complain too much. But now you need power over anything else just to stop this push. Yeah, he got 1 village over here. He gets surrounded by the units. You fully expect the Grand here to die, but you just want him to get as much value as possible while holding this village and trading for these bottom villages here. Which doesn't amount to a problem though, because you don't have enough units to cover all of them. Your goblin can obviously keep on taking them away, and then you're cycling. But it's still a little bit of liability. It's also good catch from Haldiel. He doesn't allow Megac to take any more villages than this one. This unit will always die. And then after you clean him up, you have a solid eastern flank, where you might still keep on pushing, as long as you don't lose the heart on the western front. Nice hits on an assassin. Yeah, this is looking rather rough for Megac right now, especially because it's still not nighttime, and he did take a lot of trades. Obviously, all of his units vulnerable to the range damage. But it might still swing. Yes, a very nice pickup here. The energy is about to normalize, and once it hits in nighttime, if he gets decent hits, especially with his leader right here, who is doing exceptionally well on the mountain, he might just push this back, and then we are in a situation where I'm pretty sure Haldiel is slightly ahead on eco, and probably even experience points, if he clears this up. But most importantly of all, he didn't die on the, like, succumb to the first rush that the orcs do. Now this is interesting that you go for the poison here. I'm not really seeing the value too much, but maybe he didn't see any other place for his assassin to be. I think it would be interesting to have a Wolf Rider just right through the Red Sun flank, because it's completely open. But you probably don't have the resources for that right now. And Haldiel keeps on fighting. I mean, he can't really escape here. Even if he does, it doesn't buy him anything. He will still need to recover the units in the villages, so he thinks, okay, let's just take as many units as possible, while the army on the eastern flank recovers a little bit, maybe amounts to some push over here. This is quite funny. This is one Elvish fighter that keep on sinking villages, and the spearman is running after him. This is kind of good for Megac. Obviously, he loses one village because of this. But at the same time, you have a 9 gold spearman who doesn't cost upkeep, which is completely occupying the Elvish fighter who costs upkeep as a more expensive unit. Get first level up. Honestly, the Goblin Knight does more, like way more melee damage, but the other upgrade has the net, which is the range attack that slows. Might have been a decent option here as well, because of all the range attacks that are coming in. Right now you're still vulnerable to ranged hits. But if you have the initiative, or if you want to pressure, then you would rather go for this variant, simply because you can decide which attacks to use, if you're the one hitting first. Yeah, amazing, his 4-4 on this Elvish Scout. He does clear this up. not to jinx this engagement. He does clear this up and already sees, okay, I'm winning this, I need to push and get some value right now, while it's still nighttime. Same goes for Haldiel, though. He still tries to get as many grants as possible. A little bit unlucky, he misses so many shots. But this is what it is sometimes when you play Wesnoth. Yeah, clear all of this up. There's still one fighter remaining, but it's nothing too major. And this is interesting. Megac decides to move onto this village to not allow these warriors to move onto it and recover their HP. But it also means he gives up on the southern villages right now. And this is slowly breaking his neck. Because Haldiel has enough force to keep at least these 3 villages under control, but Megac is way too far away to be able to contest this for now. And it's about to become daytime as well. Oh, this is awkward. He moves his his archer dies here, I think. Yeah. And then he loses the village. So it's a little bit of a disaster right now. But if we consider the values lost from Haldiel's perspective, he killed a couple more units. Based on gold value, it's plus 9 gold, simply because the grants and goblins don't cost as much as the elven units. But I think on ego he has been ahead most of the game, which means right now he is fairly far ahead in the game. The only thing that can turn this is either good RNG or good experience, which Megac does have. He has a level 2 unit here, he has 1 unit close level up. This unit, this grunt is also not that far away. He has still one fighter to kill here, which will probably equalize the losses. So we have a somewhat even game, which can still go both ways. Now this is interesting. He uses his knight to get this trade. He can't. I mean, technically he can get zone of control locked here, but he will likely kill one fighter in the process. I'm not sure if it's worth it to invest this much for a level 2 unit. It's probably best for both the players to stabilize, and maybe Haldiel can get some value, some more villages here. But so far he has been getting very unlucky with the spearman holding. trying to get the assassin only one hit again. Oh yeah. And the goblins rise. Goblins here and taking out taking out the fighter at daytime. That's something that you're used to seeing. So I think both sides are quite equal at this point. No, this is super unlucky. You don't get this goblin right now, and he levels up because he gets irritation hit as well. How often do you see goblin players in your game that are dim as well? So yeah, this looks rather good for Megac at this point. Also, you missed your timings a little bit. You got a little bit of a you had a little bit of a worse eco for a while, even though goblins do help out with no upkeep cost. But he has so many good leveled units, so even though the game state looks rather equal, and they lost about similar amounts of units. Actually, he killed way more units at this point because of all the Elvish fighters that died trying to kill the goblin and take the village. Seems like a little bit of well, unfortunate circumstances for Haldiel. Yeah, right now he is in a very decent spot. If he plays it well, especially with the upcoming night, and can get his units into position, it might just be the game for him. Also, Haldiel realizes as well it's about to be nighttime. He doesn't have any tempo right now, so just going to defensive positions as best as you can. Although there are two quick and strong grunts over here, which do hurt quite a lot. If you get a strong grunt, it is good in the sense that while usually strong units get the +1 damage, which is already pretty good, strong grunts get +2 damage at night. So they get like 1 extra damage during nighttime, which makes them especially valuable. But yeah, just standard recruitment. Now he does go for a troll, which I said they are usually good in this matchup. I'm not sure why he would recruit it right now though. Usually would just go for them a little bit earlier to defend from the counter push. While they're trying to set up. This time he doesn't give up the village because he thinks it's good enough at defending this one. It's also a resilient fighter, which also contributes to the holding power. Although I think holding this village is just more difficult in general. There's one thing about this, which is this fungus. It also have bad movement on fungus. It costs them, I think, 3 movement points. So it is generally a little bit more defensible against northerners, but these are close enough to just go into this hex. And now he could get 3 hits onto the village itself. And he decides to go for the Elvish fighter on the flank, because he doesn't want to get into range of the marksman with 9x4 in range damage. But pushing on the other side at the same time. So right now this is a pretty solid game plan. But I don't think he can expect to break through at this point. There are too many Elven units around. Yeah. He tries to go for the kill. I think if he lands 1 more hit, he gets the kill for sure. He gets into range of the marksman and mage. Mage picks up the kill. And you have a complete slaughter on both sides. Now you see the problem with the Goblin Knight. Obviously he has very good melee attack, but he just gets shots down by the Elvish units. How did he manage to defend here? He just has more units over here, and him having the range attacks does contribute quite a lot to all of this. And the fighter gets swapped out. It's a little bit unlucky for Megac to not get this one. The leader is far out, so the marksman can be a little bit vulnerable. But there's a huge problem right now for Megac, which is all of his units really have difficulties to get out of the engagements right now. So he needs to get significant value right now on this turn. Otherwise he will just lose all of these units. And at that point I think he might as well forfeit the game against losing all these leveled units on this side. Let's get the good engagement here. You should be able to get the mage. Yeah, that's the problem when you have a mage. They do a lot of damage, but they also die very quickly. Especially to grunts at night. So now we have an Orcish Warrior as well, another level 2. And he goes for these hits. I'm pretty sure he had a decent chance to kill. Yeah, but picks up with the Impaler. And this is quite interesting. I mean, it is a decent idea in general to just try to rotate over here. You pick up this village, maybe you can even go further. The best case scenario is you block the rebels from recruitment by blocking the keep tiles. And then without the recruitment and time reinforcements, you might take the tempo. Which is a decent idea. The main problem here is you can get Zone of Control locked pretty easily on this pace if you get surrounded by some units. And there's no getting out of here anymore. So these units will die if they will die. There's no if about it. He poisons the leader, which is also, I think, very nice. If you ever get to poison the leader, it just requires so many turns to get him healthy again. But the night is about to be over. I see the engagements 4 for 4, not bad. And you see, this isn't even a problem. Your units just get stuck over here. So he still keeps on pushing, even though it is dawn and about to be morning. But if you don't keep on pushing on this side, then you basically lose everything over here and don't get anything in return. And a little bit unlucky, not enough hits connected. Like, again, one fighter holding this village. So obviously Haldiel keeps on fighting back. He's down right now, so the orcs are quite a bit weaker. The eastern flank gets cleaned up as well. Now he has a lot of units close to leveling up, and at this point, as an orc, there's not much you can do. Like Megac didn't get some hits that he really needed. A lot of units from Haldiel survived, being one hit away, which is a little bit informational right now. And most importantly, he didn't get any villages. He got this one village, but I think overall it was a very good hold from Haldiel. Just the way he moved his units around, defending all the villages, using Dawn of Control, especially early on, to lock all of these, all of the river here. Yeah, and at this point it is nighttime, there's really not much to do, I think. The game will be ending very soon. The only saving grace that you have as Megac here is the weak marksman. So if you get to snipe the leader, if you get 2 lucky hits on him, you might still end up winning the game. But other than that, you don't really have a win condition. You're too far behind economically. Most of your units are getting cleared up right now. And your level, like your strong level 2 units keep on dying, meanwhile the opponent is close to leveling up as well on his own units. So he tries to move in, looking for this leader snipe, but there are just too many units around. And they're blocking quite too much zone of control. Yeah. I'll just guess the skill. If he got extremely unlucky, he might have not killed the grunt, and then there might be a chance for his marksman to die. I'm not sure if he needs to take the risk, to be honest, but the chance to kill the grunt is pretty high with the marksman ability, 60% chance to hit, the high damage and all the units around. So yeah, Haldiel, as a Hail Mary, moves up with his leader, because he knows there's not much he can do to come back from this game, so might as well look for this finishing blow. But the fighters surrounding the marksman are just, well, they provide too much HP. All you need to do is just keep on recruiting units right now, so your leader is safe. Now they're still being picked up, and I think this should about to be the end of the game. He's still trying his best, picking up a few kills right here, left and right. But it's not enough. Look at all these level 2 units coming in. The troll survives quite a long time. This is a really tanky leader. Even close to leveling up. Oh yeah, that's GG. And I think this was a very impressive game. He had a very good hold here. especially from Haldiel, I think the way he positioned his units was incredible right here. And it's something to take note of. The statistics. Overall, the RNG did balance out. The early game was a little bit rough for Megac, but other than that, a very good dynamic game. A lot of fighting. I really enjoyed this one. Just seeing it for the first time as well. And I think there's quite a lot to take away from strategically as well as tactically with all the engagements and the way you move your units around. So I hope you enjoyed that one, and I'll see you in the next video.